to Janette's TV podcast. I'm your host, Janette Burke. Today, we're back virtually from the Santa Barbara Film Festival with the second interview we have for the film Magic Hour. This time, we're speaking with the film's director and writer and founder of Access Theater, Jacqueline Christy, who received her MFA from New York University's Graduate Film Program at Tisch. Her work includes Radium Girls, Equity, and Rehearsal. Magic Hour is her debut film. As a reminder, the story centers on the main character, Harriet, played by American actress Miriam Shore, who after years of procrastination and self-recrimination as a middle-aged woman decides to upend her life and go to film school in an effort to realize a lifelong dream. Comic adventures and self-discovery ensue. Now, before we welcome Jacqueline and start today's interview, I want to remind you that if you haven't already done so, please take a moment to subscribe to Janette's TV podcast YouTube channel for more great lifestyle and entertainment content like this geared towards savvy women over 40. The link is below. And we'll be right back with Jacqueline Christy. And I'm sitting here with, she's sitting in Santa Barbara and I'm sitting in Toronto. She's the luckier one. Jacqueline Christy, who is the writer and director of this new movie that has premiered at the Santa Barbara Film Festival. Actually, it is your debut film and it's called, I'll let you tell us, what is it called? And tell us about it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'd be happy to. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
the movie's called Magic Hour, and
Magic Hour.
it is loosely inspired by true events. So basically, when I was in my 40s, I went to film school, and I was lucky enough to go to the NYU Graduate Film Program, and I loved every minute of it. And I decided, you know what, I need to make a movie about this, and not just specifically about my own experience, which was great, but also about the kind of more universal experience of having a dream and pushing it aside and saying, I'm too old, it's too late, it's too crazy, no one cares what I have to say, et cetera, et cetera, every excuse in the book. And then going for it anyway, and then it's imperfect, et cetera, et cetera. But I've now found that everyone has a long lost dream and everyone has a million excuses to never do that dream. And then if you try to do the dream, you encounter all kinds of problems, and all the reason you pushed it aside in the first place come right at you. So you have to actually deal with that. So it's a comedy, and it's about living your best life, and it's about going for it. But it's also very realistic in terms of the kinds of problems you encounter along the way, most of which are your own internal issues that come up when you kind of put your dream to the test. And in any case, I could go on and on, but that's what it's about.
Okay, but I'm gonna pick up on a couple of things you say and ask a couple of questions because these were my questions, so you kind of hitting on them anyway.
Sorry.
That's great. So
Okay.
why did you wait till you were 40 to go to film school?
That is the question. That's a great question. Okay, I'll just jump in. I'll say this. I felt more comfortable supporting the work of other people and a little safer hiding in the shadows than I felt putting myself, out there. My voice, my writing, my directing, etc. I felt more comfortable holding back. Now, I've been in the theater a long time. I actually have a theater space that I started, and I was always supporting.
Yes. Access Theater.
Yeah. So, and I'm very proud of it. But I was always producing and developing the work of other people, and then became more or less an arts administrator. And at a certain point, I was like, wait a minute. I have these stories I'm secretly hiding and writing, and why am I not courageous enough to put myself out there? So I will say that I think at 40, I had more to say than I did in my 20s. And I also maybe started to get the courage to tell my own stories. And certainly maybe hit that moment of like, well, if not now, when am I going to do it? So for various reasons, I had held back, and I still hold back a bit, but I'm trying to push beyond that.
And so are you Harriet? Is Harriet you? Or is
Yes,
Harriet a culmination of other people that you knew too?
I would say yes and no. I'm in all the characters, and some of the characters are horrible and you hate them, and I love writing the villains. They're really fun to write. So every character is a little bit of a aspect of my personality, because that's kind of the fun part of writing, is you get that out there. I think Harriet is very much a distillation of my all my fears and neurosis, and I exaggerated for dramatic purposes. So she is
Mhm,
very stifled by her fears and her neuroses, and I
mhm,
certainly put myself in there. Hopefully, I exaggerated them a little bit.
mhm. And you were talking about it being a comedy, but yet, so this is a question, I guess, with your writer's craft on.
Yeah.
How do you balance out the comedic and the serious, more serious elements of the story?
Yeah, that is such a great question. That was a part of the DNA of this movie from the script stage, but all the way through into the music, into the playing of the characters, into the design, the sound design, and the visual design. Because there are certain scenes that I play 100% for comedy, and there's certain scenes I play 100% for drama, and that's fairly easy, you know. It's the ones that are right doing both at the same time, and
Mhm.
Miriam Shore does that masterfully.
And we
And
just had a great conversation with her, actually.
oh, I love her so much. And
She's,
she picked up the script and she knew instantly. She's like, I know how to play this. And I was shocked because she did know how to play it. So my from the comedy for me though, just to answer your question more directly, is this. When I encounter difficulties in life, as we all do,
mhm,
humor is my way through it. So I don't just have scenes that are goofball comedy, like just laughing for the sake of laughing, although I love that. I put humor into the difficult scenes because that's my way of getting through it. And when I'm in a difficult situation, I a little bit, I'm like, wow, this is a little crazy. And I kind of use humor to sort of get through things. And I think that's what I tried to do in the movie. So that's the balance of humor and drama. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what I was shooting for anyway.
yeah, I think that you answered the question. So two, three, maybe four more questions.
Yeah.
Um, how, so you had different people audition to play Harriet. How did you choose Miriam Shore?
Yeah. So, I mean, she's just, there's no one like her. She embodied the character, even though the character is very different from her. She embodied the character like no one else. She has a sense of humor that can go from subtle to like clowning almost. She can do heightened comedy. She can do very realistic work. She can break your heart with sincerity, with no humor in a scene sometimes. And I hadn't seen anyone who could move through all those different qualities so effortlessly. So it wasn't even a question. She just is. And by the way, I studied her work and I studied every part of it. Some of the more dramatic stuff, I was like, okay, she can handle that. Like in The Americans, she's incredible. She'll break your heart. No comedy there, just full on drama. In Younger, this heightened comedy, but it's a little more theatrical. And then in Broad City, I remember a scene where she had both going on at the same time. It was very grounded comedy, very emotional, but also funny as hell at the same in the same breath. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Um, and I was like, oh, she's it. She's everything I've ever wanted.
So, well, that's great that I mean, that she's first of all an amazing actress, and that the two of you have come together and are working together on this particular film. My next question is, what do you want? There's going to be a lot of savvy women over 40, the same category of as my audience, coming to see this movie. And what do you hope for them to take away from Harriet? What do you want? What's the message you want them to get from Harriet? Because, you know, she's the whole central key to this movie. She's the whole story. And what message does she have to share with these people and these savvy women on how they can maybe have a happier, more fulfilled, more complete life?
Yeah, that is 100% the goal. That's why I wrote it and made this movie and had this whole crazy adventure. I feel like Harriet might be relatable and maybe like a worse version of all of our fears. Everyone has vulnerability, fear, self-doubt. I think a lot of women internalize the voices that they hear from the outside, which is your job is to support other people, your husband, your children, whatever. No one really wants to hear your voice. We internalize these things. We hear these things in our world sometimes, and sometimes we internalize them. Not just women, a lot of people have that experience, but we all have some vulnerability and some self-doubt. But when that's dominating your life and holding you back, I feel like that's when we need to take that stuff seriously. And in the character of Harriet, I wanted to really make her an extreme version of that so that anyone could look at her and be like, maybe even like, I'm not as bad as that person. But by the end, I don't want to give anything away. The evolution is such that she really ascends into the person that she was put on earth to be, as we all can. So the message that I'm trying to send out through this avatar of Harriet is it doesn't really matter where you're at right now. You don't have to lose 5 pounds and get in shape and get your romantic life in shape and get your finance. No, you can start right now with exactly the neurotic mess that you might think you are right now and live your dream right now. You're alive in this moment. There's never been another you. There never will be in the whole history of the earth. And we need your voice and we want your voice. We want your uniqueness. You don't have to clean yourself up, strengthen yourself to be worthy of being heard. You know, if you want to start a business, if you want to make a movie, if whatever it is, you're good enough right now. And we want the flaws because that's what makes your story relatable. That's what makes your experience relatable to other people. So your power is in your uniqueness, including your strengths and weaknesses. And Harriet is an exaggerated weak slash neurotic person who can ascend through that. So that I wanted to make her feel like a person that, wow, if she can do that, I can really do that. And I want people to come out of the theater like, I can live my dream. Why not? Why can't I do that if this other person can push through her fears? And I also want to say the world wants and needs that more than ever. So if there are women
Hmm.
listening to this right now or anyone listening to this right now, I'm like, I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your story or support your business or whatever your dream is as fully as humanly possible. There's no reason to hold back. That's what I really believe. And I want people to take it away and feel enlivened by that.
So as we close out here, I've got a couple of things I want to bring up. First, I
Okay.
want to give you a chance to tell us, we call this the shameless promotion bit. Where can we go to see the film? I know it's in Santa Barbara Film Festival, but where else? And is it going to make it to the big screen, or is it going to make it to the streaming screen, as we like to call it now?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes, yes. We're playing in Santa Barbara now. I am very happy to say that we were selected to play in the Encore series. So we already had our
Oh,
first two screenings, but
congratulations.
thank you. So if anyone is near Santa Barbara, please come. Saturday morning at 9 a.m., we're playing at the gorgeous Riviera Theater. It's going to be a big, beautiful theater. It'll be the biggest theater we've played in. So this was our world premiere. And that's a big, beautiful theater. So that's this Saturday. It's a huge honor to be included in that uh, series of encores. So that is another opportunity to see the movie on the big screen. And what we're doing now is we're in the process of talking to people. Basically, there's a whole distribution process. And the idea would be we would like to roll this out in actual theaters. The movie is about filmmaking, and I really want it to play in theaters, after which it would then land on a streamer. So we're talking to people now. A lot of exciting things are happening, but it's all in process. So I don't have an announcement as to who's going to be distributing us yet. We'll know more soon. We're also going to be playing other festivals. We've been invited to some other festivals that haven't been announced yet, but you can keep up with us on our website at magichour.us. We are on all the social media channels as well, and you can find that on our website. You can also join our mailing list, and
Okay,
then
so
you can be part of all this magic hour.
magichour.us, and you can go
Yes.
there to join the mailing list as well and see what other, and you'll have a list of all the other festivals. Will any of them be in Toronto?
I hope so. So nothing yet, but this is the beginning, and we're going to be rolling this out for a while. So I'll come see you in Toronto when we're
Okay.
there.
So
Yeah.
I also like to end on a zinger. I did the same thing to Miriam, so don't think I'm putting you in the hot seat.
Okay.
Um, my question to you is this. You're a female writer, you're director, and you're producing a female story specifically for women over 40, which of course we also cater to. And they have their own unique set of, circumstances, issues, what have you, topics that appeal to them. Um, why do you think film is just now embracing the need for women's talk, the need for women to go with their girlfriends and see a movie that has a story that reflects them and their own life? And how will we see more of it?
Man, I love that question. I think in terms of why now, I actually think that maybe it's possible in our 40s we start to step into our power. We've been on earth long enough. We've had enough adversity that we've overcome that we're starting to feel a little confidence about ourselves and about our worth and about our value and about the voice we have and the fact that that's meaningful, even if we were conditioned to think otherwise. Some of us were and some of us weren't. But, to a certain extent, I think the male voice really dominates film and dominates in other aspects of our culture. So I think we start to question and say, well, I have something to say. Not only that, I want to hear what she has to say as well. She's been on the earth a little while and has some stories to tell and has some significant value to contribute and to make an impact on the world that we live in. So I think getting a little bit older makes us feel more like, hey, we have something to say, but also we have more confidence to say it. And in terms of the movies, women go to the movies, and a lot
Yes, they
of
do.
women show up that, especially women over 40 go to art house movies more often than any other demographic, apparently. That's what I've been researching.
Yes,
And
that's true.
yeah, and we love to go together sometimes to turn it into a social thing, to talk afterwards, to see how do we feel about it. Um, so I think that now that women are starting to claim that a little bit more, we're going to see more representations of women, not just young women, not just very, very young women playing the ingenue, but women who have had some life experience. We're going to see that represented more and more on the big screen. And it's also on TV as well. There are more TV shows I
Yeah,
think that
there's a
feature
huge
women.
demand for it, right? And it's
Yeah.
also opening up, and this is a great thing too, it's opening up roles for women who are 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond that, you know, up until maybe 10 years ago or less, those roles were not there. You were done as an actress the minute you had turned 40, 45, 50. And that's so sad,
Yeah. That's
especially because our population in the world, and especially North America, since we are in North America, is it's a baby boomer plus population. That's the biggest segment. So obviously they need to be reflected. Their stories, their thoughts, their feelings, their issues need to be reflected in what they're watching on TV and in the movies, or they're not going to watch TV or go to the movies. And I don't care if it's traditional TV or not. I mean, obviously we've seen a big um, switch around in traditional TV, but even for digital, and there's plenty of over 40 women watching digital TV, streaming. So I think there has to be something there for them. And I'm glad to see that someone like you is producing content to meet the need. And I hope that you'll keep it up. And I want to wish you all the best for this film.
Thank you so much for this wonderful interview and for creating a place where women over 40 have a place to learn from you, to experience the culture and so on and so forth. Because it's part of, I feel like with togetherness, we kind of support each other so that we're not just alone as we're pursuing our dreams. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks for being with us today on Janette's TV podcast. I'm your host, Janette Burke, signing off. Please remember to like, comment, and share all our posts with your fellow savvy women over 40. And remember, you can support us in one of two ways. A donation to our Patreon account. The link is below, and no donation is too big or too small as we continue to bring you the best lifestyle and entertainment content geared towards savvy women over 40 on the net. You can also purchase a Janette's TV podcast t-shirt or sweatshirt in your favorite color and size with either the JTV logo and tagline or an inspirational saying made by me and a previous guest in a previous episode. The choice is yours. All orders contain shipping and handling and are conveniently sent straight to your front door. This is Janette Burke signing off. Until next time, continue to be fabulous.